Welcome back, friends. It's Lauren with Rustic Honey, and today we're going to start the morning out in the garden and get to talking about overwhelm. It is definitely something that plagues us all, no matter what age or stage of life you are in. Overwhelm will sneak up on you when you least expect it. This happened to just be one of those weeks for me personally that I felt a little bit overwhelmed. And throughout the course of the week making this video, I feel so much better. So I'm going to share with you 5 things that I have come to realize are super important if you're trying to beat overwhelm. The first one on my list is going to be to get outside. So of course this morning I'm going to be taking you through our garden. We've got beautiful grapevines growing up our fence and into the trees. The corn is greeting the sun this morning, and we have zinnias, tomatoes, everything is getting so close to harvesting, but it's just like a nice quiet time to come out here with my daughter, look at what's in the garden, get our hands in the leaves and on the produce that we've grown with our hands, and really just focus on our gratitude. Maybe say a prayer in your garden and give your worries to God. And I think that has to be number one on our list when we become so overwhelmed. Now, I know this part might sound cheesy to you, but if you just stop and listen to nature, it really has a calming effect. I don't know if you've heard this quote, but it's one of my favorites. It's that nature does not hurry, yet everything is accomplished. And I'm often reminded of that when I'm outside and I'm just in the present moment listening to the surrounding sounds. So first things first, get outside, go for a gratitude walk, do some breathing, and listen to nature. Now, moving on to my second tip. Now, this one is equally important in my mind, but it is to quit consuming. We are bombarded in this day and age with so many things. We have a lot of possessions. We have a lot of entertainment. We know the world news. We have information at our fingertips about anything and everything. And honestly, it can become overwhelming to our brains when we already have a million things to do in a day, if you're like me, right? So one of the first things I do if I notice I'm starting to get overwhelmed is just delete social media or other apps, maybe news apps or something from your phone that you feel the need to check regularly or that you find yourself on. Simply remove those distractions altogether. They are just overstimulating you and it's not helping. Secondly, if you're in the mode of maybe research and you're just over consuming the how-tos and you're not actually taking action, that can also cause overwhelm. So if you're constantly watching the YouTube videos and reading the books, but you're not taking action, you might check yourself on that one and stop consuming. One of my favorite ways to kickstart action is to set a timer. And that's what I'm going to do here in my office today. I'm feeling a little overwhelmed with all the things to do, and I'm going to set that timer and get a few things done. Now, that brings me to my next tip though. As you see here, I am cleaning my desk off because it's driving me crazy. The kids had put a million things on here, plus my stacks of papers. So as you can imagine, it makes it really hard to focus. So that is another tip I have, is to just simplify your surroundings. Clean off your desk and put things away. I think for me personally, clutter is one of those things that instantly makes me feel more overwhelmed. When I have a cleaned off desk and everything is orderly, then I feel like I can really focus on my work. So that is one thing to definitely focus on. And if you don't have a home for your items, you probably need to work a little bit on decluttering, which is something I am constantly trying to work on around here. With 4 kiddos in our house, it seems like it sneaks up on us a lot. But we can be easily overstimulated by our clutter, and it steals our attention. So if we can tackle that little by little, I think it will help our overwhelm overall. Now join me in the kitchen. I'm going to get busy here with a little bit of baking this afternoon. This is just kind of a bonus tip. You guys know I love to cook here on this channel and always share a little recipe with you. So today I am in the mood for cookies, and we are going to make some of those. For some reason, cookies remind me of summertime at my grandma's house. So it just seems like even though it's hot outside, I just want to start the oven and make some cookies. So here we go. I'm going to share a couple tips as we go along here too. I guess a bonus item on my list of how to be overwhelmed would be to do something that you love. Obviously, I love getting into my kitchen and I love baking, so that is just a bonus thing that we're doing this week to beat the overwhelm. Now, my next tip was going to be to prioritize the endless list. Have you ever laid awake at night thinking about all the things you have to do tomorrow, the next day, maybe the next month or the next year, and pretty soon you have this entire list or maybe a notepad beside your bed full of random things you need to do? I know most of the women watching this channel can can agree with this. It happens. So if you're like me, you end up with an endless list of home things and work things and things to do for your kids. And so to combat this overwhelming list of things that we must do, quote unquote, must do, I think it's important to prioritize, obviously, right? That's a simple thing. Of course, Lauren, we all need to prioritize our list. But I will tell you that the thing that works for me best is to commit and prioritize to the tasks that will lead me to the results that I want. So if you really sit down and prioritize where you want the results to be, that will help you look differently at your tasks and get the right things done. Now, this is something you can honestly track all the way back to your annual goals too, or we could get really big with this. Like, what's your 10-year goals? What are the results you want in 10 years and trickle that down? But today we're feeling overwhelmed. So what we're going to do is think about the results we want this week. So for example, maybe you want to put a YouTube video out on Friday, or maybe you want a tidy kitchen for the gathering you're going to have this weekend. You can form those lists around what the result is that you're going after. So this week, it may not be a priority to run to the library, but it may be a priority to deep clean the kitchen cabinets. Obviously, I am just throwing out random results or AKA goals with you, but I feel like this could work for so many things. Now, another way you can use this tip to feel less overwhelmed is once you have those tasks that you really want to prioritize, do them individually. I think so many of us women think, wow, we are great multitaskers. Look at us go. But at the end of the day, single tasking is actually more effective. It's better for our brains and it makes us more productive and efficient, really. So if you can get down, to those few tasks that are actually important this week, then do them one at a time. And once you can get them done, cross them off the list, it will give you the momentum you need to continue knocking the priorities off the list. And before you know it, you feel a lot less overwhelmed. All right, we are going to stick those cookies in the oven and take a break on the porch for a minute here. As you saw when I was making those cookies, I recently learned about stacking dough, and you'll have to let me know in the comments below if I'm just late to the party on this. But I recently saw this in a Facebook group that I'm in, and it's genius. It makes for the prettiest bakery style cookies. They're a little bit larger, of course, so you're kind of eating like 2 cookies at this, for one, but they are beautiful. And I love the way that they kind of stay a little bit gooey in the middle. They're just perfect. So if you haven't tried stacking your dough, definitely do that. The first batch I did straight after mixing, and then the second batch I did after the dough had been chilled for a little while. So I would say it's probably best to chill your dough and then stack them and bake them, but equally delicious either way. As usual, I will leave the recipe that I made today in the description box below. My chocolate chip concoction today was dark chocolate, butterscotch chips, and a few of those caramel bits I had left over. If you remember, I made dark chocolate sea salt caramel cookies earlier in another video, so I'll try to link that too, but so delicious. I often will just make the same cookie dough recipe all the time and then add in whatever chips we happen to have in our house. So it's a great way to do it. And again, I like to freeze cookie dough too, but it never lasts. Now, the last video I shared with y'all was about habits, and I was kind of revisiting everything that I had been working on since the new year and refreshing those habits. And that is a bonus tip I also have for you today, is that if you're feeling overwhelmed, you might go back to those daily things around your home and just kind of keep yourself in check. Are you keeping up with dishes and laundry and just those normal everyday things, instead of putting them to the side and allowing them to build and build and build to the point where it is overwhelming. And I have to be completely honest with you. I have felt like a hypocrite a couple different times since making that video because I have let things get away from me. I don't have perfect habits. I'm still a work in progress, just like you. I have loads of laundry that somehow get away from me for a couple days, maybe over the weekend, and then I will put them on my bed, and at night I'm too exhausted to fold them. So I don't always follow through with the habit, even though I say I'm going to. I think we all have done this, but it's something you have to ask yourself if you're feeling overwhelmed. Is it because there's laundry on your bed? Is it because you haven't done the dishes on demand? It's not. It's just kind of feeding this monster of overwhelm, along with kids' shoes in the mudroom and picking up after my kids, tidying up as we go. And I don't know who got this step stool out for the 100th time today, but little legs are trying to reach those top shelves around here. So definitely check your daily habits to make sure that's not leading to your overwhelm. Now the kids are playing semi-quietly and the little one is down for a nap. So I am back here again in my office, and I have been looking at this bulletin board beside my desk for a while now. And I've been wanting to take it down because I'm looking forward to, hopefully sometime in the near future, painting my office and kind of sprucing things up around here. I had to laugh because as I was taking pictures down, apparently my kids had thought it was funny to like scratch over our eyes. And luckily those are my favorite pictures, but I have copies elsewhere. So I'm going to let those go and clean up this area. But this is leading me to another tip I will share with you here. That is to think futuristically. So what I mean by that is to, first of all, do something today that you won't have to do again tomorrow. So picking up your kids' toys before bed, you're going to have to do that again tomorrow. Getting the dishes done, you're going to have to do that tomorrow too. Sorry to burst your bubble. But maybe taking down this bulletin board in my office and reorganizing my favorite pictures, filing away the kids' artwork that I want to keep, and decluttering the rest is something I won't have to do again tomorrow. And it's kind of a future gift to myself as well, because I will now have this wall cleaned off if I so get the chance to actually paint. Now, how in the world, have you ever felt like you walk into a room sometimes? I know if you have young kids like I do, you walk into a room at times and you're like, what happened in here? I have no idea how it got this way. But I am in the middle of trying to clean out my sewing room / craft room. And then this whirlwind hit again, and I don't really know why, but today I wanted to tackle that too, because again, I won't have to do this for myself again. Now this floor is super overwhelming, but I know that if I'm thinking futuristically, if I set the timer and get this done, that I am doing something for my future self that I will be thankful for. Now this is a fun one to do. It's all about taking care of your future self. So say it's laying out your running shoes for yourself to work out in the morning, or it's filling the coffee maker with water the night before. It's something you can set yourself up for success the next day. And when you get to that moment where you're like, oh, the coffee maker is already filled up and ready to go, thank you, past self. I mean, it sounds really cheesy, but like if you can even come to thank yourself, or while you're doing it, you're like, man, future Lauren is just going to be so excited that I did this for her. It sounds so dorky, but it makes you laugh, and that's also the greatest medicine too. But it makes you feel less overwhelmed when you're thinking futuristically and taking care of yourself. So I am going to clean off the gooey stuff off of this wall because I ordered wallpaper for my sewing room, and I know as soon as it gets here, I am going to want to get started on this project as soon as possible. So stay tuned if you want to see this happening. I promise you, it is happening slowly but surely. Speaking of treating your future self, I made a freezer meal here, and I'm going to stick that in the oven for an easy dinner tonight. Thank you, past self. So if you're interested in freezer meals, I'm going to link one of my videos down below too to share a few recipes with you. So the next time you're feeling overwhelmed, I sure hope that you reach for this list. And just to recap them, we're going to quit consuming. We're going to prioritize our tasks based on the results that we want. We're going to simplify our surroundings. and we're going to think futuristically. But most importantly, let's get outside, give it to God, do a little gratitude and prayer, and you'll be through your overwhelm in no time. Let me know if you have a tip that you would add to this in the comments below. I always love chatting with you guys down in the comments. And if you're new here, I would love it if you would subscribe so we could hang out again soon. I often share videos on intentional living, country cooking, homemaking, and our farm life along the way. So I hope you'll join us. Thank you all again so much for watching today. I hope you're having a blessed summer, and we'll see you back here again soon.